Today marks a historic day for this YouTube channel. Today is a day that demonstrates that dreams can come true so long as you're willing to work for them. Because for the past nearly 200 days, I've had the same guy asking in my comment section to do a WWE versus AEW Dream Matches video. And it's a video I frankly didn't want to do, and I'm not making it today because I want to make it, I'm making it because I feel like you've earned it. And I also couldn't think of a topic idea for today, so thank you. So yes, finally, we are doing the long-awaited WWE versus AEW Dream Matches on this channel. So maybe the top comment can stop being, I'm here before the AEW versus WWE guy. Who am I kidding? That's still probably gonna be the top comment for the next like 6 months. As always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring that bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know that you're gonna fall in love with this YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. And I wonder who's gonna start the next meme for the next 200 days. Is it gonna be you? All right, let's get to it. I've come up with a total of 13 dream matches between active WWE superstars and active AEW roster members, and yes, I am putting emphasis on active because I'm not using any retired legends from the past to fill out this list, so I'm not gonna have The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold in this list. Instead, we're only using people who are actively signed to WWE or AEW as of the making of this video. I've also tried to come up with a variety of different types of dream matches as well. For example, I have dream matches that pit the biggest names in their respective companies against each other. I have dream matches between people that if I were to put them in the ring together, they might actually put together the greatest professional wrestling match of all time. And I also have dream matches on here that are dream matches because of the historical context that it would create if I were to put them in the ring together. So I'm trying to give you a little bit of variety because it is the spice of life. Let's start off with the first dream match that I have on here between Gunther, the Ring General representing the WWE, and Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon representing All Elite Wrestling. Look, I don't think it would be a stretch to say that if I were to put these guys in the ring together, that they might actually put together the greatest professional wrestling match of all time, because in their own right, they are in discussion for being the greatest professional wrestler alive today. These guys are allergic at this point to having bad matches. Any match that they have could at any moment become match of the night, match of the year, match of the decade contenders. But not only are these guys just 5-star match machines who consistently have really, really good matches, but both of them have a special superpower, which is that they consistently get the best match out of the people that they're facing off against. Look at Daniel Bryan's resume in AEW matches. A lot of the banger matches that he's had are to some degree the best match that that person that he's facing off against has ever had. And I can say the same thing about Gunther. He just brings out banger matches out of people that maybe don't traditionally have banger matches as well, like Sheamus, like Drew McIntyre, like The Miz, and he got the absolute best out of somebody that we knew was really good, but was just fantastic when Gunther was put across the ring from him, and people like Sami Zayn and Chad Gable as well. So yes, in their own right, they are fantastic wrestlers, but the reason why they're so valuable in today's wrestling is that they get the best performance out of whoever it is that they're having a wrestling match against. Now imagine putting people that have that superpower in the same ring together. Two guys that are already amazing professional wrestlers that are capable of getting the best out of one another. This match might actually implode planet Earth with how good it could be. Frankly, this is the match that I'm holding out hope for, that Daniel Bryan does a victory lap across different wrestling promotions, including WWE, because before Daniel Bryan hangs it up, I would die. I would pay so much money to see Gunther versus Daniel Bryan. This match would be absolutely legend. Wait for it, dairy. I started watching How I Met Your Mother again. It's in like my Netflix rotation. Here's a match that is a dream match because of how big the names that are involved in it would be. That being Seth Rollins, the poster boy of the WWE, but also Will Ospreay, the poster boy of independent wrestling, and the guy that AEW is probably going to put all of their marketing behind. But not only is this a dream match because of how big the names involved are, there's a couple of other reasons why I would say that this is a dream match. In its own right, yes, it is a match between two megastars, but it would also be a very, very good match as well. I do think that Seth Rollins' absolute best years of putting on bangers are behind him, but he's still very much capable of putting on a match of the year contender if he's given the opportunity to be able to do so. And Will Ospreay is a guy that right now is in his prime, putting on the best professional wrestling matches today. So yes, I do think that in its own right, it is going to be a really, really good match. However, I think that this particular match would be extra special in today's context because Seth Rollins is Triple H's golden boy. He's Triple H's workhorse. He's the guy that Triple H decided to put the World Heavyweight Championship on because he sees him as the workhorse of the WWE. He's a guy that's willing to grind. Will Ospreay, on the other hand, is the guy that Triple H says is afraid of the grind. So put these two together and really let's see what philosophy of business is actually the right one. But I don't really need to sell you on Will Ospreay versus Seth Rollins. You all already know that this is like one of the AEW versus WWE dream matches. For the women, the biggest dream match that I can think of right now is Rhea Ripley representing the WWE taking on Mercedes Moné from AEW, formerly known as Sasha Banks in the WWE. I don't think that it's a stretch to say that these two might be the biggest names in women's professional wrestling. Certainly Mercedes Moné is the name that carries the most weight in All Elite Wrestling, and Rhea Ripley has catapulted her way to the top. Really, the only people that rival her for being like the top female WWE superstar is like Charlotte and Bianca Belair, like some other heavy hitters. So we would be putting the two arguably biggest names in their respective companies against one another. So that in its own right creates a dream match right there for sure. But also, this is a dream match that kind of eluded us because Mercedes Moné, when she was Sasha Banks, left the WWE right before Rhea Ripley really catapulted herself to superstardom in the WWE. So we haven't really seen these two cross paths at all when they're both at the height of their popularity. On top of that, I'm kind of the mind that I would like to see Rhea Ripley continue to collect the Infinity Stones of 4 horsewomen of the WWE. I want to see them all lose to Rhea Ripley at some point or another at WrestleMania. And even though she's in a different organization right now, I would love for Rhea Ripley to collect the Mercedes Moné Infinity Stone and put it in her gauntlet. If you do not understand Marvel or Thanos or like the whole Infinity Stone saga, then you probably didn't get any of those references. I also just know that this would be a banger match because we saw Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks. That to me is like just such a good match. One of my favorite WrestleMania matches in recent memory, and Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley are kind of similar like in terms of strength and size. So if you just sort of replicate what Bianca and Sasha Banks already did and you just kind of swap Rhea Ripley in there, then I just know that we're gonna have a banger match.
You can see, look at this!
Oh my God! Holy shit!
Now, Phoenix.
Did you see that? That was a sneak peek of the Wrestling is Cool Match Club, available exclusively over on patreon.com/SantiZap. This is a series where the patrons get to vote on 3 matches per week for Sancho and myself to react and review for your viewing pleasure. This week we're doing The Rock versus Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam 2002, a TNA X Division match from 2007, and a crazy 7-way Lucha Underground match from 2015. You're also gonna get the Wrestling is Cool podcast 3 days early. You're gonna get the Raw reviews, the SmackDown reviews, and so much more. We already have over 1,000 patrons supporting over there, so thank you so much for your support. So if you want to catch all these series and vote on which matches we do next week, make sure that you head over to patreon.com/SantiZap. The link will be at the top of the description of this video, or it will be the pinned comment as well. Go check it out. I think you're gonna like it. Back to the video. Look, I want to see this because of the microphone work, the vignettes, the podcast. This would be absolutely iconic. Logan Paul, the megastar. Well, no, that's LA Knight. The social media star, I guess I should say, representing the WWE. And of course, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF of AEW, has to be the guy representing. I know that a lot of people might have The Miz or LA Knight instead of Logan Paul in this position, but I think that Logan Paul is actually the perfect opponent for MJF. In my opinion, like in terms of in-ring work rate, I would rather see Logan Paul before The Miz and LA Knight when it comes to having a match against MJF. I feel like Logan Paul provides the best possible in-ring match out of all of those names that I included. But really, you know what we're looking for here. We are looking for story. We are looking for drama. We're looking for narrative. We want MJF to appear on Logan Paul's podcast. We want to see the heated back and forth between these two because MJF is like the master of breaking the fourth wall and bringing up things in promos that you typically aren't allowed to bring up. And there are probably a lot of things that you probably aren't allowed to bring up regarding Logan Paul. Japanese forest. crypto scams. Like, there's so many things that I would love MJF to use against Logan Paul in promos. It would just be so good. On top of that, like, to me, even if you don't like Logan Paul, I do think that he represents a deep future for the WWE. MJF also represents a deep future in professional wrestling. Like, these are guys that are still in their 20s that are already trailblazers, if you can believe it or not. This would be a matchup between two current day superstars that are also going to be future absolute megastars. You knew that this match was going to be on this list. We have to have Roman Reigns, the tribal chief representing the WWE, taking on the Lunatic Fringe, formerly Dean Ambrose, now Jon Moxley over in AEW. Dean Ambrose not being part at some point or another in the tribal chief storyline is like one of the big gaps in that amazing narrative that the WWE gave us for the past 3 years. And you know that you got out of your seat at WrestleMania 40 when you heard that Shield music because you thought that there was a slight 1% chance that Dean motherfucking Ambrose was about to come down with Seth Rollins. Don't lie, we all thought it. So we know that there is hunger amongst WWE fans to at some point down the line get Roman Reigns versus Dean Ambrose. There is a deep desire to get that. I understand Dean Ambrose wanting to leave the WWE because he was just being completely misutilized, but it's a shame because today's WWE is a perfect place for somebody like current day Jon Moxley. I know that Triple H and the WWE would come up with an amazing storyline between Roman Reigns and Jon Moxley. These are also arguably the one-in-one guys from each individual company, especially over the last couple years. Roman Reigns being the top guy in the WWE and Jon Moxley being the top guy in All Elite Wrestling. So it's a dream match because of the names that are involved, but it's also a dream match because it's really coming back full circle to really finish what was left of the Shield story arc. It's also something that we really thought was never possible, especially under Vince McMahon. The prospect of Dean Ambrose coming back to the WWE was literally slim to none. But now, WWE being cool again, really embracing the term professional wrestling, there's a world where I could see Jon Moxley jumping over to the WWE and finally giving us this dream match. Oh, come on. Why are you groaning? You know it's not too soon. CM Punk beating the living piss out of Tony Khan. It's perfectly timed right now. There is so much heat between these two. There's so much history between these two. And Tony Khan, for the first time in a really long time, has now become a proper on-screen character in an actual wrestling storyline in AEW, actually taking bumps. So this actually isn't a 0% chance anymore. It would also be very incredibly reminiscent of the days of Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Vince McMahon, you know, the working man taking on the authority, the guy that has all the money. The story is just so perfect, but also the modern day storyline that's been going on between these guys with the firing of CM Punk, the releasing of the All In footage, dude, it's just too perfect. And Tony Khan has demonstrated that he is willing to take some wrestling moves. I mean, the dude took a Meltzer Destroyer, which is basically like a super tombstone. I mean, come on, taking a couple GTSs isn't that crazy. This would absolutely melt the internet, though. If this somehow came to fruition where we got CM Punk versus Tony Khan, I would personally want to stay off the internet for the next 10 days because the tribalism, if this match were to become a real thing, would probably melt all good left on this planet. I wouldn't want to be a part of it. But I also kind of want to be a part of it because even though I hate the toxicity in wrestling fans, we're all just a tiny little bit toxic. Come on, you know you want to see CM Punk put his knee in Tony Khan's face. Cody Rhodes, the face of the WWE, one of the former EVPs of All Elite Wrestling, one of the founders of All Elite Wrestling, taking on still an EVP and a founder of AEW in Kenny Omega. This is a match that actually exists but doesn't exist in either AEW or the WWE. You have to go all the way back to Ring of Honor and to New Japan days to find a Cody Rhodes versus Kenny Omega match. So this is a dream match for multiple reasons. It's a dream match because it is two of the biggest names in their respective companies of bar none, two of the biggest names in professional wrestling today, but it's also historically significant because it would be two founders of AEW, a former executive vice president and a current executive vice president of AEW going to war against one another. That's kind of sick. Frankly, I don't really need to justify this one too much. This one kind of does it by itself. It's kind of crazy that we never properly got this feud or this match in All Elite Wrestling. Look, dude, Like, it is cool that AEW was able to gather all these names, but I feel like they missed so many opportunities to create these historical feuds and matches, and I think this was one of them right here. I told you that not all of these dream matches were dream matches because of the names that were involved. A couple of them were dream matches because of the actual in-ring work rate that they would provide, because this, just like Daniel Bryan versus Gunther, could be the greatest professional wrestling match of all time. Ilya Dragunov versus Takeshita would be a genuinely mind-blowing, probably 20-30 minutes of professional wrestling. Honestly, I don't want this match to happen, because if it does happen and I do watch it, all other matches that come after it until the rest of time will never ever be able to match up to how good this match would probably be. What's crazy is that I consider both of these two guys to be some of the best professional wrestlers on the planet, and I still think that they have so much growth and development left. Just imagine what these two could put together at the peak of their careers. Even right now, I think that they would put together maybe the greatest professional wrestling match of all time, but give them a few extra years and my God, dude, I don't think anything could match up to what these two could put together. You know what's interesting? I do find it difficult to come up with dream matches for the women, because look, as much improvement as AEW has made in their women's division, I do feel like they've lacked like the star power and the prestige of the WWE women's division, especially over the last year or two. That being said, if I have to grab a poster girl from each individual company, it's Charlotte versus Dr. Britt Baker from AEW. No ifs, ands, or buts. Charlotte, I don't need to explain to you, this is Charlotte. This is somebody that's gonna break the record for the most world championships and is probably gonna go down at the very least in terms of accolades, and maybe even in terms of performances, as one of the greatest professional wrestlers in the WWE ever. Dr. Britt Baker, on the other hand, right now has just sort of been missing and hasn't really been utilized, but in the early days of AEW, like the women's division of AEW really just circulated around whatever Britt Baker was doing. Britt Baker undoubtedly was like the face of women's wrestling in AEW, even though so many people online just do not like Britt Baker these days. But yeah, this is one of those dream matches of just trying to get the biggest names imaginable, names that carry the most weight and the most history from each individual company. Britt Baker versus Charlotte Flair, to me, is a no-brainer. This match right here has been a debate amongst wrestling fans for as long as I can remember. The Usos versus the Young Bucks would be that matchup to really determine who is the best tag team in the history of professional wrestling, who is the best tag team that spams super kicks. I think it would be hilarious if a gambling company were to do an over-under on number of super kicks, because I might put the over-under on like 35 super kicks if I have these four guys in a match. We've seen the Usos have classic tag team matches. Actually, my favorite match of 2023 was a tag team match with the Usos, the main event of night one of WrestleMania 39, and we've also seen the Young Bucks just put on unbelievably good matches in their tenure as EVPs of AEW, even though a lot of people, like from a personal standpoint and even on-screen standpoint, do not like the Young Bucks right now. But even if you don't like the Young Bucks, you can't deny that this is the tag team dream match right here. You might want to include FTR, but like, no. Like, when I think of AEW, it's the Young Bucks. When I think of WWE tag team wrestling, it's the Usos. They are the face. They are the flag bearers of the tag team division from their respective company. This is the match that we need to have. Look, this one might just be on here for selfish reasons, but I desperately want to see Randy Orton versus the current AEW World Heavyweight Champion in Swerve Strickland. Is this a dream match in like the traditional sense of some of the other ones that we've seen on here? Maybe, maybe not. At the very least, maybe not yet, but I'd still think that it'd be a fucking fantastic match. We've seen Randy work with guys like Swerve Strickland in the past, and guys like Swerve Strickland tend to get the best performance out of Randy Orton. And we are seeing that Swerve Strickland is at the top of his game right now. He is arguably one of the best things going on in AEW today. And maybe Randy Orton wants to turn back the clock, and maybe he wants to be not the legend killer anymore, but the future megastar killer. Maybe, I don't know. Look, maybe I don't have the greatest argument for this, because the other ones are really easy to make a case for, but come on, you know you want to see Randy Orton versus Swerve Strickland. This match would absolutely melt eyeballs. I also really like the demeanor of both of them, because when they're baby faces and they're heels, they kind of play the similar character. Like the dangerous, brooding type of guy, like they're both the same dude, and I would like to see who's more dangerous and to see whose house it really is. This might be the greatest comedy gimmick duo of all time. If you were to put R-Truth and Danhausen in a program, in a match, backstage segments, whatever it might be, this might go down as the funniest match, funniest segment, funniest feud in professional wrestling history. Both of these guys have perfect Flawless comedic timing. I'm telling you, this is the feud that you didn't know that you wanted, but if we were to get it, this is a feud that would have everybody gut-busting laughing. Plus, it's like the two guys that everyone kind of universally likes from both promotions as well. If there is a way to create tribalism peace between WWE and AEW, it is R-Truth versus Danhausen. Everyone would probably come together, lock hands, and sing Kumbaya, my lord. Right here, folks, you're looking at it. This is our solution to create world peace. All right, folks, thank you so much for watching this video. Shout out to that guy that left so many damn comments for me to make this video. I appreciate your commitment, and thank you for watching every video. But that's it. I'm done. Get out of here.